There is something inside you that doesn't let you rest. It's not external noise. It's not pressure from other people. It's not comparison with anyone. It's internal. A persistent feeling that something needs to be done. A conversation that needs to happen. A decision that should have already been made. A step you know exactly what it is, but keep avoiding. You feel the discomfort. It shows up when you're silent, when you're alone, when the distraction fades. It doesn't shout, but it doesn't leave either. It's like a constant notification in your conscience. A direction you know you should follow. A change that has already become clear. A stance that is overdue. But you postpone it. You tell yourself you need to think it through. That you need more confirmation. That you need to wait for the ideal moment. And meanwhile, the days go by. You distract yourself. Scroll through social media. Stay busy with secondary tasks. Focus on smaller problems. Create new goals so you don't have to deal with the main one. You convince yourself that it's not the right time yet. That you need more stability, more security, more clarity, more preparation. But deep down, you know it's not a lack of clarity. It's not a lack of signs. It's not a lack of direction. It's resistance. It's not confusion. It's avoidance. There is a brutal difference between being lost and avoiding. Someone who is lost truly doesn't know where to go. But someone who is avoiding knows exactly which path they should take. They just don't want to deal with the cost of it. Because every real decision has a price. Following that direction may mean discomfort. It may create conflict. It may require courage. It may force you to leave an environment that is already familiar. It may put at risk an image you've built. And the brain prefers safety over transformation. So it creates sophisticated justifications. It's not the time. I need to be absolutely sure. I'll wait a little longer. I don't want to act on impulse. But it's not prudence. It's emotional procrastination. The more you postpone, the heavier it gets. The discomfort increases. The feeling of being stuck grows. You start to feel restless without understanding why. And the truth is simple. You're accumulating unmade decisions. Every avoided step becomes internal weight. Every postponed conversation becomes tension. Every ignored direction becomes silent frustration. You start to think you're lost in life. That you don't know what to do. That you're confused. But you're not. You know. What you're feeling is not the absence of direction. It's an excess of ignored awareness. And that is exhausting. Because running away requires energy. Pretending not to see requires effort. Maintaining constant distractions wears you down. It's much easier to face the decision than to sustain the escape for months. Maybe you're calling doubt what is actually fear. Maybe you're calling waiting for the right time what is really reluctance to take responsibility. You're not lost. You're avoiding. And as long as you keep calling escape prudence, nothing will change. The discomfort is not your enemy. It's a signal. It points to something that needs to be faced. The question is not what is the path. The question is, why haven't you started walking yet? Running away almost never looks like running away. If it did, it would be easy to identify. It would be obvious. You would notice immediately and maybe even feel ashamed. But that's not how it works. Running away looks like rest. Like prudence. Like maturity. Like waiting for the right time. You say you just need more calm. That you don't want to act impulsively. That important decisions require reflection. And they do. The problem is when reflection turns into chronic postponement. There is a very thin line between wisdom and emotional procrastination. And often what you call balance is just sophisticated fear. Fear of changing. Because change means leaving what is familiar. Even if the familiar is limiting you, it is still known. There is a false sense of security in what is predictable. The new demands adaptation. It demands vulnerability. It demands accepting that you may make mistakes at the beginning. Fear of losing. Every decision involves renunciation. When you choose one path, you automatically leave another behind. And that is frightening. You think about what you might have to give up: people, stability, image, comfort. So you prefer to keep everything as it is, even knowing it isn't good. Fear of obeying. Because obeying a deep conviction requires courage. It means acting without guarantees. It means trusting before seeing results. And that confronts your desire for control. So you create internal narratives. It's not the moment. I need to be more certain. When circumstances improve, I'll do it. Now isn't possible. But deep down, something in you knows. It's not a lack of time. It's not a lack of information. It's not a lack of opportunity. It's resistance. Running away is comfortable because it keeps everything stable. Nothing changes. Nothing breaks. Nothing is confronted. You keep living in the same pattern, with the same justifications, with the same controlled frustrations. But there is a cost. While you run, the restlessness grows. That feeling of being behind increases. The perception that you could be at another level if you had made certain decisions starts to bother you. You feel stuck, yet at the same time tired, and that is the worst combination. Because running away is exhausting too. Maintaining unmade decisions takes up mental space. Sustaining justifications consumes emotional energy. Pretending not to see what is clear demands constant effort. You start to feel irritated for no clear reason, impatient, unmotivated, as if something is misaligned, and it is. Restlessness is the price of prolonged escape. It is an internal alert that you are living below what you already understand you should be living. It's not random anxiety. It's accumulated awareness. The more you ignore it, the more it grows. Running away is comfortable in the short term, but unsustainable in the long term. Because you can deceive others. You can even deceive yourself for a while. But you cannot silence forever what has already been revealed inside you. At some point, the question returns. How long will you keep calling fear prudence? How long will you keep calling escape waiting? The discomfort you feel is not punishment. It's direction. And as long as you keep running, it will keep catching up with you. Let's be direct. What exactly are you avoiding? If you stop right now in silence and are honest with yourself, an image has probably already come to mind. A name, a situation, a specific decision. Maybe it's a difficult conversation you've been postponing for weeks or months. That conversation that may create discomfort, confrontation, maybe even rupture. You know it needs to happen, but you keep waiting for the ideal atmosphere that never comes. Maybe it's a necessary renunciation. Something you keep in your life even knowing it is misaligned with who you want to become. It could be an environment, a relationship, a behavior pattern. It's not that you don't know. You do. You just don't want to deal with the impact of the decision. Maybe it's a habit that needs to die. Something that seems small, controllable, not that serious. But deep down, you know it is draining your strength, your discipline, your clarity. You promise you'll stop. Promise you'll reduce it. Promise you'll adjust it. But you never cut it at the root. Or maybe it's a step of faith that requires risk. A change of direction. An opportunity that scares you. A calling that demands leaving the comfort zone. There are no guarantees. No certainty of outcome. Just inner conviction, and that leaves you vulnerable. You pray asking for direction, but you've already received it. You ask for clarity, but you already know. The problem is not the absence of an answer. It's an excess of unapplied awareness. There is a difference between not knowing what to do and not wanting to do what you already know. And many people confuse the two. They say they're waiting for a sign, when in reality they're waiting for courage. You ask for confirmation, repeatedly hoping the answer will change. But it doesn't. Because it has already been given. What's missing is not information. It's decision. And decision always involves loss. Loss of comfort. Loss of control. Loss of the old version of yourself. That's why it hurts. But growth always hurts a little. Evolution requires abandonment. Moving forward requires leaving something behind. There is no transformation without rupture. You can keep asking for more signs. You can keep waiting for perfect circumstances. You can keep saying it's not the time yet. But deep down you know which message you need to send. You know which attitude needs to change. You know which door needs to close. You know which step you need to take. The question is not what does God want. The question is, why haven't you obeyed what you already understand? You don't need more revelation. You don't need more videos. You don't need more counseling. You need courage. Courage to face the conversation. Courage to make the renunciation. Courage to kill the habit. Courage to take the step. Because as long as you keep pretending you're waiting for direction, you will remain in the same place. You don't need more signs. You need courage. There is a type of escape that almost no one notices. It doesn't look like rebellion. It doesn't look like abandoning faith. It doesn't look like declared distance. You keep praying. You keep consuming spiritual content. You keep saying you believe. But deep down, something changed. Sometimes you're not running from God. You're running from what He is asking. And that is far more subtle. Because it's possible to maintain spiritual practices while avoiding the specific obedience placed before you. It's possible to keep the language of faith while ignoring the direction that has already become clear. You sing, but you don't decide. You pray, but you don't execute. You ask, but you don't respond. And that creates emotional distance. Not because God stepped away, but because you chose not to face it. There is a huge difference between the absence of God and the absence of alignment. When you know what you need to do and you don't do it, something inside you becomes misaligned. And that misalignment generates internal noise. Your conscience begins to weigh on you. You feel discomfort when you pray. You feel resistance when you hear certain messages. You feel as if something is stuck. And then you interpret it as a spiritual crisis. But maybe it's not a crisis. Maybe it's conflict. Conflict between what you know you should do and what you are choosing not to do. This type of escape is dangerous because it is silent. You don't break with God. You just avoid the specific area that requires change. You sidestep the issue. You pretend you are still processing. Meanwhile, the emotional distance increases. It's not that God stopped speaking. It's that you stopped responding. And when the response doesn't come, sensitivity decreases. The connection feels weaker. Prayer feels heavier. Not because heaven closed, but because you are resisting the next step. Spiritual escape is not stopping believing. It is continuing to believe, without obeying. And that generates internal wear. If this message is confronting you in any way, subscribe to the channel now. Because here we don't feed comfortable illusions. We confront in order to generate real transformation. If you truly want to grow, you need to be in environments that don't just pat you on the head. Back to the point. You call it a difficult season. You call it spiritual dryness. You call it distance. But maybe it's simply the consequence of the decision you are postponing. Your conscience weighs on you because it knows. And the more you ignore it, the heavier it gets. It's not toxic guilt. It's an internal alert. The solution is not to pray longer. It's not to look for another message. It's not to try to feel something different. The solution is to face what is being asked. When you stop running from what God is asking, the distance decreases. Clarity returns. Lightness comes back. Because the internal conflict is resolved. Maybe it's not a spiritual crisis. Maybe it's just the escape you still haven't wanted to admit. Maybe today is not about learning something new. Maybe it's not another piece of content, another explanation, another concept that will unlock your life. Maybe you have already accumulated enough information to take 10 steps forward. The question is, why haven't you taken the first? There is a moment in the spiritual journey when the problem stops being understanding and starts being confrontation. You've already heard it, already understood, already felt internal confirmation, already perceived what needs to change, but you keep postponing. Maybe it's about stopping running from what you already know, because deep down you know which decision you need to make. You know which pattern needs to be broken. You know which attitude is misaligned. You know where you are being permissive with yourself. Spiritual life doesn't stall because of lack of information. It stalls because of resistance. Resistance to abandoning what is comfortable. Resistance to confronting your own pride. Resistance to taking responsibility without blaming circumstances. It's easier to say you're confused than to admit you're afraid. It's more comfortable to look for new answers than to apply the old ones. It's less painful to consume content than to practice obedience. But there comes a point when continuing to learn without acting becomes self-sabotage. You start to feel overloaded. Not because you received too little, but because you received a lot and applied little. Every ignored truth becomes weight. Every postponed decision becomes internal tension, and that creates the feeling of stagnation. You pray asking for progress. You ask for growth. You ask for closeness. But you avoid the specific step that would allow all of it. The final confrontation is simple and uncomfortable. Will you keep running or will you stop? Because running requires energy. It requires constant justifications, frequent distractions, maintaining narratives that protect your comfort. Stopping requires courage. Courage to admit that you already know. Courage to recognize that the delay is not lack of direction, but lack of decision. Courage to assume that the blockage is not external, it is your resistance. Mature spirituality is not accumulating revelations. It is responding to the ones you have already received. Maybe today is not the day to discover something new. Maybe it is the day to finally practice what you understood months ago. Without announcement. Without drama. Without waiting for perfect motivation. Just decision. Because as long as you keep looking for more signs, more confirmations, more guarantees, you will remain in the same place. Not as punishment, but by choice. God is not distant. He has not stepped away. He has not closed doors out of whim. God is not distant. You just need to stop running.